84K BTC. Things are getting hot and smoky out there. We've got FOMC coming in today, and J.𝗶𝗆𝗏, is he going to ruin our week, or is he going to absolutely send it for us? So today, guys, we're looking, is this pump that you're seeing right now, is it fake? Do we need to be concerned? Do we need to be shorting certain areas? So guys, we're going to look at some big levels to the upside. I've got all the alts for you. I've got longs, I've got shorts, I've got everything you need for this FOMC later on. Let's get right into it. And remember, guys, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. And I saw earlier today, there was a comment saying, oh, well, next week, this guy's going to flip-flop. Well, listen, we flip-flop because we have new information that gets presented to us every single time. If we only had one view, I'd pitch up here once a year and say, okay, we're going to go long now, and then you wouldn't see me again. So every day, if you're a DGen trader and you like this type of content, well, hit the like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe, and you guys know exactly what you need to do. So Banter Bubble's nice and green, and so far playing into the hands of those that were expecting a pump into the FOMC. Now, what does this mean for us? This sometimes tells us that if we get a little bit green in the markets leading into an event like this, it often becomes a sell the news situation. Now, it's not every single time, but it does happen fairly regularly. And we've been doing this a lot for CPI and things like that as well. And is today a typical sell the event? Are we going to get to this FOMC that everyone is expecting some dovish tone? And is it now going to be priced in, or are they going to be disappointed what 𝗗𝗆𝗋𝗆 has to say? And Rob said, is this fake pump before they send us all to another hell? I believe that's the question we all need to be asking ourselves. So we're going to make sure, regardless of what happens, you guys are going to be covered here. Key support levels, key rejection zones, you're going to have it all here today. I see Yumi is in the house. And in terms of big performers, you can see XRP has pumped 14%. Is this now at our first rejection zone? James is literally fist pumping in the air here behind me. He's very proud of his XRP situation. Hype, that was a nice one. We had a nice trend break there yesterday, just after the show. So that was a nice mover. But I'd say all round things are good. And look at the middle. Cake minus 13%. Did we or did we not nail that cake short? Now, it took a little bit of time for this thing to play out. We shorted this 2 or 3 days ago, and eventually it fell over for us. I'm really enjoying the fact that cake is negative 13%. I have closed that short on our first line of support, and I'm going to take you through that chart today. Okay, so all round looking good. Now, let's take a look at BTC and see what these guys, what do they have planned for us right now? God, I'm flipping through all these charts. I can't find my BTC chart. Okay. Squeeze looks like it is now going to get locked in. So looking at this chart, it looks like we are about to get some kind of BTC squeeze. This is the longest 2-hour candle we've seen today so far. So things are starting to look better. But in terms of danger zones, we still play our areas. And you can see the previous occasions that we have hit this area, rejection. Okay, so is it time now for one more pop into one of our big zones? Now, let's not forget, we've got a CME gap just around 86.6 or 86K, just floating around this area. And there's tons of confluence here. I've got a 618. I've got major horizontals as well. So this is definitely an area of interest for everybody watching BTC, definitely for the market makers. And in terms of a CME gap, well, it's quite a big area. So Ron's basically nailing it here. He says we got to get over 86. Well, Ron, I mean, you're pretty much spot on here. And this 86 has been now the talk of the town for probably, 10 days now? And now it's becoming almost too obvious, this type of level. And we were talking earlier today, it often becomes a situation where the level is too obvious that sometimes we got to look a little bit elsewhere. So what is Max Payne now potentially? Is that a breakthrough 86K? Get everybody now to long late, maybe send it to 88, 89, and then come back and smash all the longs. We just need to look at the various scenarios here. If you were a market maker, how would you play that? So in terms of standard rejection zones, guys, 84.6, we are here right now. Danger zone. Next danger zone, 86.5. Danger zone there for me. Next one, 89,200. I've got a VWAP at these highs as well on 90K. Wouldn't be surprised. A little pop into that VWAP and a little rejection there. So these are the zones that I'm interested now on this FOMC, leading into the FOMC and during that speech. These will most likely be the areas that we are going to look for some kind of sell the event, okay, if it plays into what we normally do. So watching those zones to the upside, then it depends how dovish dovish, depends how hawkish he is, or depends how negative the market sees the press conference afterwards. Because if this thing starts falling over, I suspect if the market doesn't get what they want, we're going to see some dark levels on BTC, and we might be opening up that 73K, 70K level on BTC next. So, the dream scenario would be ultimately to pump into either this 86 and reject, or pump into something like that at 90 and then reject, and then send us back down to those lower levels. So we're going to have to see how things behave up there. But, if we just fall over straight away, these are your levels that you want to be watching. 81,900, 80,900. 79,900. Those are your key short-term reaction zones. So if things aren't that bad, these are most likely your trigger bounce zones that you're going to get out of BTC later on. So mark these levels on your chart. So when things are going crazy later on, if they are on the lower time frames, you're going to have a couple of levels that you can start playing around with in terms of the FOMC. Okay, so fun and games to the upside, fun and games to the downside. Now, let's take a look at another important marker, the 24-hour liquidations. Now, this is obviously going to get ramped up during the course of the afternoon, and I suspect we're going to get shorts liquidated, we're going to get longs liquidated, and we're going to have a big mess, I would expect, a bit later on. So far, $235 million in liquidations in the last 24 hours. I suspect this is going to go, James, 500? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Makes sense to me. They're going to pump it more than we think. Everybody's assuming there will be a dump. They'll get the late longers. They'll trap the longers. They've already trapped the shorts, and they'll wreck everybody both ways. Yeah.
Sounds like a party. Sounds like a chart hackers party. Okay. So, look, that is that. I think we're going to hit 500 million at some point on this 24-hour. I think by the time we're talking tomorrow, we're going to see a big number there. Okay, let's see what else. Well, this is the Meme Master posting FOMC day today. Follow the Meme Master 08 on X. Good afternoon. Typical FOMC coming in hot for us today. No surprises here. And this was stock twits quite a while ago, but they dropped this at some point, and I wonder if this is still relevant. We're going to be watching this one today. Now, when Powell comes out for the speech, all eyes are on the tie. Purple tie bullish, blue tie bearish.
There's poly market bets on this. What color the tie will be today?
Okay, so, well, guys, purple tie bullish, blue tie bearish. Okay, well, that's what they're giving us. So we're gonna have to see. That's a nice little marker for us. Those that follow the moon, well, they might like to enjoy following the tie signals as well. Now, here's a little sprinkling of bull sauce for everybody. We know when you get a $1 billion USDT print from Tether, we tend to get some kind of pump. So was that the pump though? Have we already seen the pump? Or is this the pump still coming in hot? Now, we're going to have to watch and see if we get a little extra boost here out of the market. But that is always a bullish sign for us. We know within a short period of time, we tend to get some kind of move there. When there is Tether printed. And now 𝗘𝗍𝗶 official tells us key points to watch in this week's FOMC. Now, this is great stuff. He says the Fed's rate decision set for Wednesday. Cool. Investors are 99% certain the Fed will hold the rate steady. If rates remain unchanged, attention shifts to the dot plot. Okay, so the big one is the dot plot. Now, if they're talking 3 cuts, that is going to be super bullish for the market. If they're talking 2 cuts, neutral, and 1 cut or less could trigger downside risk. Look, I think all the wheels come off if they start talking 1 cut over there. So it's going to be a massive meeting today, and a big one we're going to watch. Number 3, if Powell hints at stopping QT, investor sentiment could improve significantly. Now, remember, everybody wants him to start QE because everyone believes that once he starts QE, these markets go rocket ship. Bitcoin's going to fucking, I don't know, 150. ETH is going back to what, 2000, something crazy. Sol might hit about 250 again. So, you know, it's definitely something we need to pay attention to today. And I'm going to be on with Uncle Run on the main channel later tonight. We're going to watch this FOMC live. We're going to see how it's going to play out. So I'll be on the charts with Uncle Run on that main channel later on. So make sure you're catching us there. And then Crypto Macro dropping some hopium here. He says in the last FOMC Fed minutes, Jan 28th, survey respondents suggested QT could be concluded mid-25, slightly later than previously expected. The difference was that the stock markets were at all-time highs. So could this correction now convince the Fed to act a little bit earlier. So that is what people are going to be looking for. And if he hints that they might cut this a little bit early, well, you know, open the floodgates, I would guess, to the upside. Might be a short-term move, but I think we're going to get some kind of pumpage. Now, Mr. Crypto, look, we know this is quite a bullish account, but he's saying the bottom is in here on the S&P as well, and he's saying the sentiment is now lower than it was in the dot-com bubble. So that is pretty interesting there on his assessment on the charts that he's looking at. So that's interesting for the S&P. And then fund managers rotated out of US stocks at the fastest pace in history. Now, maybe that was a little bit of an overreaction. So, 𝗬𝗠𝗍𝗍, it's South Africa time. It's going to be 8 or 8:15 p.m. Okay. So fund managers rotated out at the fastest pace in history. Is that not a little bit of a panic? Is that not a little bit of panic sell? Okay. You know, maybe they're going to now start having to buy back a little bit and participate in the current dead cat bounce that we are seeing playing out right now on the S&P. So, in terms of if the bottom is in, I mean, people then are obviously assuming that this thing now just grinds higher and breaks all-time highs. We start a new uptrend. So that is the assumption that people are trying to make now at the moment, if that was the bottom. But for me, I'm still leaning quite bearish on the situation. And the S&P has lost the 200-day moving average. So not feeling super bullish until we start reclaiming that. So we can have a discussion up there. We can play some kind of break over there. Then we're going to have work to do with a 50-day MA at 5,900. That's going to be an interesting level for us as well. So I think let's go baby steps. Let's not jump out and say the bottom is in, that's the end. You know, let's play these levels by level, because we know the S&P is going to have some kind of impact on Bitcoin and the markets as well. So in terms of what I'm looking at now, S&P 5,750, that looks like a rejection zone to me. 5,900 looks like a rejection zone to me in terms of the S&P. Now, that would obviously put in a lower high for us, and we would start some kind of downtrend. And then who knows what happens with Trump's policy and things like that. But we can see if we start zooming out, there are some very interesting levels down here on the S&P. And number one is this 382 and trend at 5,100. So there could be lots of pain to the downside, but we'll deal with it step by step. Let's get through these lows first, and once we do, or if we do, we'll start attacking new levels there. Mia's looking to exit on this pump. Look, it's a possible dead cat bounce, guys. And, you know, obviously things can change and the market can rip. But in terms of what we've been planning over the last while, we need to watch where BTC goes next. So let's actually take a look at, well, we'll get that BTC chart in a sec. I just wanted to drop a couple of stocks here. Now, you saw me, I started a long position on Meta yesterday. It's a speculative long saying after the sell-off, we are going to get a dead cat bounce on some of these tech stocks and things like that. And Meta enters bear market after declining 20% from its all-time high. Okay, we know that. We know it's been an extreme sell-off on this thing. But in terms of where it's at now, you've just heard me speak about the 200-day moving average for the S&P being quite a key level for us, or a key marker. And you can see the 200-day MA is now coming into play on Meta at the moment. So that is why I opened my first position here on Meta, and I've got more buyers a little bit lower down. So if we don't get the snapback bounce in this region now today on some bullish news, and we don't get, say, a 10 or 15% bounce there on Meta, we most likely looking at a bounce zone at about this 540 region. So levels to watch: Meta 570, 571, 540. Those are the areas that I would like to see some kind of bounce. And I'm taking a bet on that bouncing off these areas, trading these stocks on BTCC. So you can see my first position is in. I've got two more positions loaded, one at 556 and one at 540. So if there's a sell-off in the market, it's going to pick up bang, bang in those areas. We're going to look for a 10 to 12% bounce there perhaps on Meta. Let's see if we can bag some of those entries. And then we're gonna just trade it exactly like we trade some of these shit coins. So the nice thing about BTCC is you could trade crypto in these things, but you can also trade stocks here. So obviously having tons of fun on BTCC, and everything I talk about, guys, remember, is in the show description. You just go under the show and you will find all these things there for you. Now, just covering Apple, I did touch on this one yesterday. Remember, some of these are going to be slow burners. They're going to be swing trades and things like that we have to wait a lot of time for. I don't necessarily want to go full max degen and trade 15-minute charts on some of these stocks. I'm quite happy to play the dailies and the weekly levels and then look for some nice moves. So in terms of Apple, just wait patiently. I think we get a bounce around this 200 region, so nothing to do just yet. Remember, these stock charts are also all in Chart Hackers, and all the charts you see on the show go straight into Chart Hackers after the show. Now, I've got a new Stonks channel there in Chart Hackers where we're going to be covering lots of these things for you guys. Okay, let's go BTC. And so far, I think, to be fair, playing the game exactly what we wanted it to do. You can see this current situation is a little bit bearish. We know BTC is in a downtrend. We see that. We can also see there's major horizontals ahead of us on BTC, anything from, say, 90K up to even, you could stretch it to even 93K, anywhere in that type of region. We know that is a danger zone in terms of BTC. So we cannot get turbo bullish until we start reclaiming these types of areas. When we're doing that, then we have a new discussion, and then you're going to see that guy in the chat that said, oh, you're going to flip-flop. Well, yes, if we reclaim that 90 region, start building support and start breaking out from those types of levels, well, then we may be turning, we just might be turning that bullhorn on again. So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But in terms of what I'm expecting still, and don't want to change any thesis here until we start breaking big levels, but I'm just looking for that bang and then something back down into that zone, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens after that with BTC. But baby steps here. Let's get up to this big zone to the upside, and then we deal with it. And obviously, if we're wrong and it doesn't reject, well, fuck, great, because then the market's turning super bullish. This bullhorn is going to be going mad every day, and we're going to be super excited. And Zenze, we pivot with agility. Look, we just play what's in front of us, guys. I mean, you just play what's in front. Okay, BTC, you've got. And then another key marker for me, guys, very important stuff. And this also shows you the current situation in the market. This actually can show you the level of confusion building up now in the market. We've got a 1-week liquidation heat map. Look at the upside. This is, this is clear as day. The market makers can come here, grab 86K pretty easily, and then reject us. And then look to the downside. All the longs building up now, everything down to about 79.5, that sort of region. Both look like fair game. Both look like zones that can get easily tapped and get a reaction from. So look out, even if we move down first, look out for a bounce, liquidity grab. We could get a bounce there in those areas as well. Now, talking of bounces, you can see dominance is now in our bounce zone. So I drop this in Hackers. Every day I do a market update in Chart Hackers, and here we are. Dominance dropped into our major support zone. You can see it is bouncing. We said, yeah, look for a bounce, and it's just a typical bounce zone on a chart. It's a daily level for us. We were looking for a reaction, and you can see Bitcoin dominance is now bouncing. So what does that mean? Well, you've seen your altcoins go nice and green today. Okay, they're looking beautiful. Look at that. Oh, green alts everywhere. And now dominance moves down, and then it moves into a support zone. And this might be a zone where BTC takes the wheel for a while. And if that means BTC is pumping, dominance should be going up. And we don't have to worry too much about these altcoins. The problem is if BTC rejects and you see dominance bouncing here, these altcoins are probably getting a little bit rinsed. And that is where these short zones and these head short zones that I'm going to give you today could come in handy for you. Okay, so we're going to look at a few of these now. And 𝗬𝗲𝗃𝗃's licking his lips for the upcoming chop, bro. Look, I mean, it's exciting. It's super exciting. So we'll hopefully get a little bit of action. Now, another one we love to follow is the USDT dominance. This is us on the weekly, and all this chart is telling us right now, when you see red, it means money is flowing into the market. So nice and red for us. That's good. Okay, money's moving in. And where is our bounce zone? Where could we have a little bit of trouble later? 4.8%. Look for that. Bang. Okay, 4.8%. That could be a region where people say, okay, let's take some risk off the table here. And maybe we're going to get a bounce in the USDT dominance. So a couple of nice charts for you guys to watch today with all the drama that is going to be unfolding, I expect. Okay, so let's go straight into a couple of things. I don't think I can ever stop using this until ETH actually TPs me out. at my target. So look, I think you guys will be pleased to know that my ETH trade is nearly flat, okay, after being in absolute ETH hell for the last, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I've been sitting in hell on ETH. We are nearly flat after today's pump, and this was helped. Justin's son staked $100 million worth of ETH. This will yield 3 million of ETH per year passive income. Now, that sounds like a big thing, and it sounds amazing, but remember, Justin sounds like a gazillionaire. Okay, $100 million of ETH. It's not a big deal for him. Whew, couple of alarms there. Okay. Suraj says, even if we bounce now, Trump sends us back down on Friday. Guys, possible. Okay, this is what we're going to plan for. So in terms of, let's look at the ETH is. Look at this. I'm about to go flat on my ETH trade now after years of suffering, guys, and we're nearly there. My TP is at 2,099. I'm waiting to close this thing, and we've literally rode this thing to the depth of hell. It's been an absolute journey, and in terms of what we were looking for ETH, well, we stuck to the plan. Okay, we looked for a bounce on the ETH BTC monthly chart. Okay, we're in that zone now. You can see we were looking for this bounce, this major area here, so that is obviously giving us a little bit of strength there, and we were in the bounce now, or cut it off zone, and come on. And now we're getting our bounce. We're getting our bounce on ETH. Okay, so here it is. But again, no euphoria allowed. I've preset my take profit, and they must come. Okay, they must come and pump it higher. That's fine. We'll get another long at some point. I'm just happy to get out of jail free there on that pump out of ETH after riding it literally to the depths of hell here. So this plan so far is in place. So we were looking for a bounce here on ETH, rejection at trend. This is the game plan. So anyone trading ETH, 2-1, major resistance, 2-4. Major resistance. Okay, those are the big zones there for you on ETH that you want to pay attention to. Once we reclaim levels, guys, we'll have loads of time to get new ETH plays. And what we're going to obviously focus on when ETH turns a little bit more bullish is we're going to start paying more attention to some of those ETH plays again. And maybe they're going to disappoint us for the 100th time again. I mean, God knows, shall we pull out Optimism and Arbitrum, or shall we put them in the barrel of hell? I mean, I don't know, but we might have to if ETH starts pumping. Okay, so those are the levels. Key support for ETH, well, I don't want to stick around and find out, but right now, your key support for ETH, 1,900, watch that zone, and 1,750, watch that zone. Okay, those are the areas there. Downside, I'm hoping I get TP'd this evening. Okay, and then we'll deal with it later on. Okay, let's go Solana. Now, Ali Charts says, according to his chart that he's watching here on Glassnode, this is the realized price distribution chart that he's got in front of him. He says it faces a big test. So 135 is the most important resistance. Sean, that alarm you heard was the Fartcoin short alarm. Okay, we're going to see now. Okay, we got to look at when we're going to short something. We got to make sure our oscillator printing divergence, looking like it's going to roll over. If our boxes get ticked, then we can do those types of things. Okay, brother says he's going to overcharge customers to make money to trade. Brothers, bro, keep it real, bro. Okay, so is it playing in our as part of our plan? Yes, so far so good. We're getting a bounce out of Solana, and yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we wanted to see. We want to bounce first before we potentially go lower. So Sol on the weekly, no changes. Big order block, bullish order block, bounce out of here, wick fills, all these things. And 110 is our big support, and our major resistance, okay, major resistance on the weekly is going to be this 165 to 170 zone. That is major weekly resistance. Obviously, we can dream about pumping up to those levels. Right now, we got to get through basically a couple of hurdles. Now, there's 3 hurdles along the way here for Solana. And if we take Ali Charts' comments about 135 being a danger zone, well, that pretty much ties in with our bearish order block here, our 382 fib, our horizontals in that area as well. So we know this is a danger zone. Guys, anybody long here on Sol, 137 to 140, head short zone, TP zone, those types of things. That is a danger area here in terms of Sol. You can see right now we're reacting on our VWAP at the moment. So you can see this is our first big zone. We've got 3 big hurdles. So it's let's just confirm 132 right now, resistance, head short zone. Next one is 137 to 140, bigger zone there for me. And then the upside is 150, where we did catch a couple of Sol rejections in the zone before. So 150 then to the upside. Guys, those are the zones you want to play on any pumpage now tonight. So if you get some excitement in the market, things start ripping. Look, if you trust that the bottom is in and we macro bullish for everything, then look, hold on to your positions. But if you are looking at it the way I'm looking at it, where I'm saying I'm looking for a bounce on BTC, weekly rejection, and potentially lower down, well, any pumps for me on these tokens are short zones or take profit zones. Okay, so that is how I'm playing it. Obviously, we stand to be corrected, and Sol can obviously rip. That's always on the table. Now, let's look at Mirza. He's talking about Injective, and I thought we haven't looked at Injective for a very long time, and it's been a big underperformer in terms of, you know, relative to the other tokens out there. Injective has been very, very slow. So I thought, let me just bang out the Injective weekly chart just to show you guys where we are. Now, the last time we looked at Injective, we highlighted these levels down here at 8 as a major weekly zone, as one of our bounce zones, and we dropped this setup in Hackers. Look, not too long ago. This might have been last week. It should have been sitting there in Hackers as a potential bounce zone. So in terms of Injective, major underperformer, very bearish considering that it's lost this major weekly trend. You'll note ETH has done the same. So in terms of these coins, you typically get some kind of bounce back. It would be very weird, you know, that it would just go in a straight line all the way back down to those types of levels. But look, anything is possible. But in terms of Injective right now, anybody sitting in Injective, 8 is your main support. Then you've got danger zone, 11.5 to 12.5. Then you've got 13, or call it 14, as your next area. And then you've got 16.3. Now, that is if things go perfectly well and this thing starts grinding up over the next few weeks. You can see these are weekly candles. That would be the dream situation. Okay, but now in terms of BTC, what happens if Bitcoin pumps to, say, 90K, 89, has a monster rejection and goes to 73K? Well, then you're probably going to see something like this on Injective. And you need to be prepped for that type of situation. So if you are sitting long on Injective, your main support is 8 that you can track. And then in terms of lower time frame support, you can watch things like this 10 level as well. Okay. And Sean says he forgot to smash the like. Guys, don't forget.
Treat the like button like Michael Jackson. Just beat it.
You know what to do about it. You just treat it like Michael Jackson. Okay, so that is the Injective plan on the weekly. Now, I don't have a DGen setup for you because I've got loads of other DGen setups for you coming in hot. And is it time to bang out a couple of head shorts? I see Hype has hit a rejection zone now as well. And guys, don't forget to subscribe as well. You're going to get the notifications. And I've got something special coming very soon for you guys. It's just in the making at the moment, but you're going to see a couple of DGen situations happening on this channel live from some of the Hackers crew. Okay, so that's in the making and it is coming around. So make sure you are subscribed and make sure your notifications are on so that you get told when these guys are going to go live, because it's in the making. Okay, it's coming soon. Moonwalking on the like button. I like that. I like that. Okay, let's talk DGen plays. Let's go. So S, we had a nice move on S yesterday. Look, a little bit of a late mover off our hot zone indicator. And it was, look, to go back to it, we had hot zone here, okay, it floated around, lost it. Then we had hot zone here, and then it started sending a little bit. So a little bit of bullishness on this S. Nice little mover today, pushed into a resistance band, and now you can see we are at a crossroads on this S. The question is, what happens now? How do we react? So if you're looking for a trade now, my view is you're a little bit late on this S for upside or for downside, and you may have to wait for a drastic move in the market before you decide. So option one is, if you didn't catch this earlier, I dropped this breakout in Hackers earlier today, but option one is wait for this thing to drop back down. Let's see if the bulls step in on the next retest to the downside. So I would say watch for a retest at about 51 down to 50. That is a possible bull zone that you can look at. And alternatively, if this thing starts ripping, I've got a short zone up here that is making a lot of sense to me. You can see I've got horizontals in that area. I've got the 50-day MA, and this will also constitute a major trend break, fake out, and rejection that could really play into our hands here if we get some kind of pop. So I just want to highlight these zones for you, DGen zones. Mark these on your charts. If we get a pump later on today, look out, 56. Look out for a fake out above that and then a rejection in that area. That could be your bear case for you on this S. Okay, remember, this is the new Phantom, and that could be your bear case play. So look for that fake out up there. Alternatively, if we get a medium-sized dip in the market, you want to look for some kind of pumpage at around about this 50 to 51 zone. That makes the most sense for me in terms of playing this. And I just want to flag here for you guys, at the moment, we've had a beautiful pump on S, but now you can see we are turning slightly bearish here. And again, this doesn't mean, this is the end of the token. It can obviously pump a lot higher. We've seen the 8-hour and the 4-hour, and a lot of tokens look like they want to go a little bit higher first. But in terms of short-term rejections, look out, we may be nearing the end, and we might get something along those lines there, and that could take us into this danger zone to the upside. So I'm going to make sure this chart is sitting in Chart Hackers for you guys, and you'll have full access to that one. Okay, and this is great. Wait, I want to show you this. This is such a banger. Okay, this is such a banger. Okay, you don't have to be like this. Okay, you don't have to be like this. It's the most pain ever. Okay, I mean the sweat pouring from this man's brow.
I love it.
Now we've all been there. Okay, we've all been there. We've all felt that type of pain, guys. And look, it never goes away. I mean, even we got new areas, we got new things and new methods that we use to trade. If you're a leverage trader, you go to those places. You go to those dark places sometimes, and it feels like whatever you're doing, it's just not working. So I've got a cure for that problem. At least it's going to help you along the way. Okay, and one of them is do the Accelerator course. So all these things that I draw on these charts, all these reaction zones, the hot zones you hear me talk about, you see me using the oscillator, the VWAPs, the moving averages, all these things. What I've done is I put it as simply as possible for you guys in some short videos. You can do this course and understand a little bit more about what I am talking about. And then you're going to get lessons on some of our chart prime indicators as well. And there's a little surprise in there for you as well. We've developed the hot zone indicator, and we're building it every day. We're adding value to that hot zone indicator every single day, and it's only going to start improving from here. And we're working on it for you. So there's a surprise in there, obviously, for you guys. So again, everything I'm talking about here, go into the show description, click under more. Everything is sitting there under the show for you guys. You'll have access to everything, including the exchanges that I'm trading on. In fact, here's CoinX as well, and they've just joined the chat. Okay, so we're going to be trading on CoinX over the next couple of weeks as well. If you want to test it out, there is a link there for you guys as well. If you want to see if it's something interesting for you guys. Okay, let's go. Let's talk some positions. Okay, is it time for head short on hype? Okay, now here's the current situation on LBank. I've got Ondo long, I've got hype long, I've got Sui long from yesterday, added a bit to that one as well. We've got Sol, we've got Tao, we've got Pepe. I've got that chart for you now. I've got an Apto short, head short in play. I've got a Sui head short in play. Now we've practically, we started a head short here on Sui 7.5, okay? And is it time, look at this hype. Is it time to open a head short? Let me show you how we go about this and do these things. Let's find the hype chart. Okay, so when the market's pumping and you're feeling super euphoric, you identify a few zones and you say, okay, the market's ripping. What do I do now? My trades are all green. Do I take profit? What must I do? And one of the things you can do is look at a hedge play. So you can open a short at these resistance areas when the boxes are getting ticked. You can see we've got bearish divergence. We've got an order block. It's looking a little bit bearish in those types of zones. So what you can do when you hit those areas, you can see I'm in a $9,000 high position. So what you can do is open a head short, and it's effectively a TP because you're taking half off the table. So I'm opening a $4,500 short now on hype. Okay, and now we've got a short from a order block at the top, and we've got our long from the lows there at the bottom. Okay, so that is how you play the game. And obviously, what I suggest along the way, now, we all know this market has been brutally choppy. Okay, so if your strategy is net long and you're looking for swings and you're looking for all those types of things, the market hasn't given us that. They've actually given us net down chop all the way. Okay, but if you have a strategy, where you're sitting in longs and you're feeling like maybe the market can push a little bit higher, what you can do is take profit on some of your trades. You can then also hedge short some of your plays, and you can leave some open to really add to the size of your position and grow it. It's really, it's obviously a very subjective thing as to how you want to play it. But right now, with all this chop for me at the moment, it's very frustrating because I like to get much bigger moves out of these tokens. So we've seen a lot of occasions where it's just like a wave, up, down, up, down, up, down. But at some point, we're going to get a nice move back out of these things. So chop solidation, I concur, NZ. Okay, so there we go. So are we at the time where we need to banging out a couple of head short plays? So we've got 𝗬𝗰, we've got Aptos. Let's see what they're going to give us later on today in terms of this FOMC. I mean, it's going to be absolutely wild anyway. Okay, let's talk a couple of other things here. Let's go. We've got we got you covered. Let's look at 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵. So here's a situation, guys. Now, this is where you get to make a call, okay? And this is where I made a call today. I said to the hackers, I believe we're going to squeeze into this FOMC. Now, we haven't squeezed just yet, even though we've had amazing ETH strength, which is nearly flat. We didn't get the follow-through squeeze on 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵. But what I said to the hackers is, I want to take on risk with the assumption that we might get a squeeze in the market before we get a sell-off. So that is why you can see I'm sitting in a 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵 position over here, and this is my thinking behind it. You can see we at resistance. I've started the position, and what I said to the guys was, we nibbling in the zone. If we start popping through this area, then we can obviously ramp it up and increase the size, and we've got a couple of targets in play. But for me, if we get a nice big squeeze out the market, I really think there's a beautiful short opportunity up here for 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵 at around about this 88 zone. So anywhere from, say, 88 to about 90 for me on 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵 really makes sense. So if we get some super dovish talk here from the guys later on today, and the market gets super excited and we pump, okay, that is what I'm looking at there in 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵. We'll add to that quickly, and then we're going to look for a short at that 88 to 90 zone. So that is making the most sense to me at the moment. But remember, if you're doing this now, if you are taking long positions into major resistance zones, you're taking on risk. Okay, so is it a calculated risk? Well, it's difficult to say. I'm literally basing this on the market's going to get excited later on what Powell has to say. They might pump us up a little bit. Based on that is the reason why I'm taking on risk on this 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵. Okay, so it's not a hot zone. It's a preemptive breakout trade that I'm trying to put together here. So it's not for everybody. So just remember your risk. If you're doing it now, your risk is about let's get your risk is about 2.6% now if you are laddering into this position. And if it does pop, obviously the upside is going to be incredible. Okay, and Ralph says we're not going to zero. Ralph, we probably are going to zero at some point, bro. And if you guys watched yesterday, I gave you 31k or 32k on BTC. Looks like a nice juicy zone there, but don't worry, we'll hit 51 first and get a big bounce out of that. Okay, so guys, as long as you understand the thinking behind this trade, obviously 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵 is at resistance. This could be a head short zone. For those of you that are bearish right here, this could actually be a short zone. But for me, based on what I'm looking for a pop long, let's see if we can really push this thing. And then I do believe we're going to get a nice short at this 88 to 90k. That is what I'm going to be after later on. Okay, so who took the cake short? Those of you who's stuck in that cake short with me? That was a ball breaker, and here it is, 𝗬𝗍𝗍. And look, we were patient. We took 2 or 3 days in that trade, and it's funny when these things fall over like that, and you suddenly print 15% or whatever on the token, and it's fallen over. You always think, "Fuck, I could have gone bigger." But the strategy on that cake play was, we had another buy, another sell higher up, and we never pumped into that zone. So remember, the strategy was a short here and a short here. That was the plan. We wanted to build an entry and then let it fall over. So fortunately or unfortunately, cake fell over a lot earlier, and without pumping into that 2.9 zone that we had the extra sell order at. So happy, bank the profits. That's great. And now in terms of cake, what is the next move? So look, bullish support here, 2.2. You can see this is a support zone, and my alarm is on here in that area. This could be a zone where you get some kind of bounce out of cake. Alternatively, if it starts falling over 1.92. So if you want to just hold your position, now I'm closed in full on that position. If you want to hold it, what you can do is put your stop at entry. So your entry is probably super high. It's probably at 2.65, somewhere around there. put it at entry. And if you're taking a bearish stance, you just want to make sure, if cake absolutely rips, that it doesn't rip past your 2.6, because if we get a rejection in the market, I do believe cake could go to 1.9 again, and we could start that whole process all over again from the low. So cake short is done and dusted for me. In terms of bounce zone, 2.26, 1.92, those make sense to me for areas where we could bounce now on this cake. Okay, and then in terms of other shorts, well, DJ and Dave and Hackers, I was actually jealous about this one because I didn't take this one, and I was taking trading cake, but he absolutely smashed this maybe short last night on his session in Chart Hackers here. And look at that, 112% on 7x. That thing basically went to zero. It's putting that cake short to shame. And this thing really capitulated. So absolute banger there from DJ and Dave. And he's running a Zoom session for Chart Hackers tonight. For all the Chart Hackers members, he's going to be streaming the FOMC live for the Chart Hackers members. So it will be a nice closed environment there in Hackers. And we've also got the Chart Piper coming in, Army Piper. He's coming in from Chart Prime to join us there as well. And Panda is also our DGen breakout trader is coming to join him. And Crypto Juggle says you got the short. Well done. And guys, remember, give David a follow. It's at David Sends It. And give our Hackers account a follow at the Chart Hackers. Okay, there it is. And you give us a follow. There's a lot of alpha there. And look, he's dropping all sorts of things. There it is. Okay, the stuff's there. Good jokes. There's the alpha. Okay, giving the shorts, all these things. It's all there for you guys. Okay, let's go. Cake, we've done. Let's go AVAX. This is the next one we need to pay attention to. So just a quick touch on AVAX. We looked at this on lower time frames yesterday. And again, it's anybody's guess as to what Powell is going to say later on. All we can do is be prepared on certain levels. So in terms of AVAX right now, you can see resistance on the higher time frame is 21. That's a big weekly zone. That makes perfect sense there. Big resistance. Now, what do we do as DGens? Well, this is the game plan. And this is what I dropped for the Hackers squad earlier today as well. If you are feeling bullish on the market and we're looking for a squeeze, it's a very simple strategy here. What you need to do is make sure that when you break these horizontal levels, when you do get your retest, these bulls need to step in. If the bulls aren't stepping in on generally a 382 or 618 pullback after a horizontal breakout, well, they're not coming back. Okay, and then they're sending it back to zero. And Horizon wants to send AVAX to 200. Well, let's start with 20, bro. Let's get it to 20, and then we'll work on 10x from there. But in terms of AVAX, what can this do? What must I look out for? So right now, you can see this thing is grinding higher. In terms of support, you can use DGen support 18.7. Now, your risk is the bulls don't step in. If Joe Powell comes out later on and they spike this thing and he says something hawkish, I don't think the bulls are going to step in at 18.7 for AVAX. You might find the bulls stepping in at like 16, somewhere around there. Okay, so you just need to understand you're going to be taking on risk. So your big level, 18.7, that's your bull zone. You want to see the bulls hold at 18.7. Where can AVAX go? I wouldn't get too greedy, okay? And again, it depends on the nature of what he has to say. But in terms of where do I need to be careful? 21.3. Where do I need to be careful? 23. Look at that. Look at these levels here. We've got 786s tied in with horizontals. Okay, these are typical reaction zones, typical danger zones here for us. Look at that. So 23, 21.3. Danger zone for me. Look out for that pump on the 50-day and a rejection in these areas. So super caution up there. And your support, DGen support, 18.7. Guys, play it super safe out there. And Yumi says, I need AVAX bag. Look shiny again. Well, Yumi, you're going to have to pump this thing back to 40. I mean, every time AVAX goes to 40, I don't know. It's like it just can't get through that barrier. I mean, look at this thing. Look at this thing on the weekly here. It just feels like this 40 is a problem here for us. And then, who was telling us yesterday, James? 147. Is it ever going to go there? I don't know. I don't know if it can go back. I don't know. Okay, guys, breaking news. Okay, James is so happy. Breaking news about XRP. They've done it again. I mean, what do you want me to say?
Every single person in the XRP army is just, Twitter is insufferable right now. Boasting, bragging. I told you, man.
I know. I'm going to get a rest. I've got friends that are holding XRP. Okay, so round of applause for the XRP community. I'm happy for you guys. Like, genuinely, I'm really, in fact, You guys had so much conviction. You held on XRP through the absolute biggest shitstorm in history. And here we are, 4 years later, the moment we've been waiting for, according to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, the SEC will drop its appeal, a resounding victory for Ripple, for crypto. Every way you look at it, the future is bright. Let's build, he says. Okay, so yeah, congratulations, XRP people. And this is you today, okay? Every single person in the XRP army this morning, there's a picture of you. Congratulations on... Okay, let's talk XRP. Do we short this thing now or do we send it higher? Let's talk. XRP on the daily. I remember James laughed at me. Yeah. Didn't you laugh at me? Yeah. You said there's no ways this thing was going to pump. And I was like, this is the right shoulder. We must be careful. Yeah. And then it fell over. I mean, it was a filthy day. Okay. But it was absolute filth when they sent us to hell. But this head and shoulders actually still hasn't played out. You can see we're still sitting at the neckline here. So we've got major XRP support, 1.95, those types of levels. Makes a lot of sense to me. You got backup 200-day MA, 1.7. So we know bigger picture. It's okay. We've also breaking a trend, but we can see there's a little bit of trouble in the way here in terms of some moving averages. So let's take a look at a more degen vibe. And XRP, is it time for our first XRP short? Or should we be waiting for higher? James, what are you thinking? James Big Balls. Look.
It depends on what happens this afternoon, right? And this is all Powell.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. A lot's going to depend what happens later this afternoon. But if anybody wants a bit of XRP flavor here, this is a short zone. It's a bear zone right here, 2.6, 2.59. This is a bear zone, okay? Then in terms of your next reaction zone, well, keep it really simple. Just look at your horizontals, get some confluence tied in with some fibs, 2.77 and 3. Okay, these are your rejection zones. Tom Riddle at 2.69. He's looking for a short at 2.69. Let's see, where's that? There. Yeah, it's just under that 786, Tom. It's there. Okay, so those are the danger areas. Now, why am I reluctant to ape into a short? Well, you can see the 4-hour oscillator here at these lows still wants to go a little bit higher. So we don't have a reversal yet on the 4-hour, but those of you that want to play games, let's take a look at the 1. Let's see what we got. John says Powell straight to 0. Guys, I don't know what to expect later. Okay, but what I do know is if we're going to pump into these zones, these are typically the zones where you're going to get nice rejections, okay? So the 1 hours on XRP is also getting tired. So you could see a situation like this, okay? Little bit move down, then we pump up, but XRP prints a new high, but the oscillator prints a lower high. They give us bearish divergence, okay? That could be a beautiful trigger for us on the 1 hour. So yeah, tentatively, short here, tentatively. If you get another hard push and they print bearish divergence on that 1 hour oscillator and you're still at 2.6 or you're at 2.77, then I think this thing rolls over, and then I think we're cooking. Okay, so that is XRP, guys. And then in terms of support, I wouldn't look much deeper now than this guy. Okay, see how it reacts. If it falls over later or there's a lot of chop, see how it goes here, 2.23. Alternatively, look at this. This was our previous area when we were sitting up here somewhere, but we've got a big wick now to deal with. So I think quite easily, if things turn bearish later on, we come back here to 1.9 for that bounce. Okay, so you've got your 2.2, just about 2.2 and 1.9 for me, folks. That looks like it makes the most sense to the downside on XRP. Okay, so XRP, congratulations again. I hope you guys are happy, and I'm happy for anybody who had that conviction. Okay, so hype, you know what the drill is, and in terms of XRP, that's what we look for. We want to see that bearish divergence. That often sends us lower. So you can see that XRP is cooking, but it's not quite printing the bearish divergence. So just keep your eyes on that. That could be a sign. Now, what do we do for hype? Let's say hype leads a little bit now into FOMC, and Jerome Powell comes out just now and he says QE, and he says all these bullish things, and the market loves it. What do you do? Okay, so if you get a bleed out now on hype, these are your bull zones, okay, and they are still bull zones until proven otherwise. 14.7, that's your degen horizontal retest, 14.7. Then you've got 14.4, and then you've got the final frontier before you get sent to zero is 13.8. Okay, so degens out there, 14.7, 14.4, hell awaits after 13.2. Okay, you bounce at this, 13.8. Best you bounce at 13.8. On hype. Okay, so those are the levels that are interesting to me. You can see I've got an order block there. I've got a 618. I've got a VWAP. I've got horizontals. And by then, hopefully, we're going to be getting some kind of reversal play here on that oscillator for the bounce. But right now, you can see hype is in a short zone. If we do get one more squeeze out of the market, one more pump, where are my next zones? What must I do? How do I play this? Well, here's your first area, 16.4. And then you've got your next zone is going to be, I'd say, watch this VWAP, 17.3. Watch the VWAP, 17.3. So 16.4, 17.3 is your next upside sort of danger areas that you want to pay attention to. Now, let's go 𝗬𝗰 quickly. Look at that, 𝗬𝗰. Why did I open a head short there? Look at that, a clean VWAP and horizontal rejection. Let's just see which one it is. Look at it. It's our VWAP from the highs on the 6th of March, tied in with some horizontals. And look, it was a not amazing trade. I mean, yesterday we were looking at that move, okay, to the upside. Now we can see we've got some rejections here in that zone. We've also got a VWAP, so typical head short zone, okay? And again, you're forgiven for opening a head short here and letting this thing pump through later on some crazy bullish news, because what if it comes out bearish? Okay, you've actually nailed a major rejection zone, and this could be a beautiful short entry that actually sends you much lower down. Okay, Horizon, I agree, you need some Altcoin. Okay, so 𝗬𝗰, guys, 2.44. That is your big resistance zone. Your major support is this mini range low, 2.22. Watch that. And then in terms of going turbo bullish, now, you know, there's a reason I've been adding to the 𝗬𝗰 position. There's a reason it's slightly bigger than some of the others there. It's $23,000 in size now, is because this might be earmarked for one of the ones that we want to start some pumpermentals, okay? If this thing, if we get some bullish news later on tonight, maybe we're going to get a nice big pump. So what I want to see happen here for 𝗬𝗰 is clean break of 244. Then we're going to use 244 as our bullish support, and we're going to try and track 𝗬𝗰 into 3 as our next target. So there is potentially, on bullish talk from Powell later, another 22% coming for me on 𝗬𝗰. Okay, so let's break through 2.44. If we do that, I'm going to risk that 𝗬𝗰 position and start adding to it. I'm going to bring my stop underneath the previous resistance. So the previous resistance is going to be 2.44. So a lot of people ask me, how do you add to positions and things like that? Well, obviously you can learn about it in the accelerator school, because I teach that in the school there, or you can just listen to for 2 minutes and I'll explain. So we like to add to positions as long as we keep our average entry under major zones. So if you're building a position in something like this and you're trying to build your size, when you get that big pop there, bang, and you start adding even more to that position, you want to make sure your stop loss or your average entry is sitting under that zone. So you don't want to add too much that it comes back here and your average entry is above your resistance or your previous resistance, because you want to use that as support. Okay, that's your support you want to see play. So you don't want to be stopped out above major support. Okay, so I've been trying to build this thing all day long, get this thing going. If we get that pop, I want my average entry under that 2.44 zone. And yes, Horizon wants a Altcoin strategic reserve. Let's do that quickly, and let's see. Okay, this is our short zone. You guys heard that alarm go off earlier. Shit. God. Okay, so you've got 3.6%. Okay, let's start a Altcoin hedge short play here. Okay, it's a 3.6% risk. It's not the worst. Okay, let's go. Let's start a position here. Okay, then we're going to put our stop at. Let's get it above. Let's go 3.6. Let's go 362 as a stop loss. So on Albank, you can do this. You just click on add and then you go 3.62, and you can say if you want to stop half or if you want to stop the full amount. So you can stop half, the full amount, whatever percent. 0.362. Okay, let's go. 0.362. Okay, so we're in the zone there. Okay, so we've taken on a bit of head short risk here on Fartcoin. You can see the upside on Fartcoin moves. The nice thing about Fartcoin is that the moves are quite big. So if you catch a long on Fartcoin, okay, you get a beautiful big move. If you catch a short, look at the size of these moves to the downside. Okay, 23% there on Fartcoin to the downside. Look at that one, 16%. Okay, so again, you treat these AI agents and you treat Fartcoin. I trade Fartcoin a lot. What you do, okay, small position, big move. So low leverage, small position, big move. You don't need to ape massive size. What you want to do is let this thing get momentum in a hot zone and then let it fall over. Okay, then you print 10 or 15% and then you're good. If you try and ape too much and this thing is so volatile, it can easily pump 6% in one candle and then absolutely rinse you. So so Yumi is shorting. Remember, if you're shorting Fartcoin, it's literally a short. Okay, so, and guys, the importance of alarms, because the alarms are going to give you the best entries. Now, at the start of the stream, when I was talking, you heard that alarm going off. That was the alarm for the Fartcoin short. Okay, so it hit the area and the alarms give you the best entries. Now we've got a second best entry. Okay, so now we are actually at a little bit more risk here. Our risk is that 3.6%, okay, that we're looking at now at the moment. It's not the best. I wanted this here at 0.356. So that would have given us, it would have given us about 1.5% risk there. Okay, so make sure, small position, big move. I'll be live with Uncle on the main channel, watching that FOMC live. Let's see how we play out. You've got upside levels, you've got downside levels. All we know, volatility. Trump opens his mouth. Fuck, who knows what he's going to do? Okay, so guys, just be safe again. And we're back tomorrow. Market doesn't go away. Here every single day. Catch you guys later.